Today, my friends, we're going to talk about the often overlooked Silver Sable, a mercenary that defines the term badass, has a complicated relationship with Spider-Man that often brings Peter into situations with moral ambiguity, to say the least. And overall, is a lot cooler than you might think. So whether you're a seasoned fan or hearing the name for the first time, we're going to dive into the origin and the history of Silver Sable. Now I know what you guys might be thinking. Cozy, who is this Overwatch-looking Call of Duty character, and why have I never heard about her? And that's a good question. She hasn't really made any appearances outside of her comic. Brief little stint in the animated Spider-Man series, like 5 episodes, and a couple smaller Spider-Man projects. But definitely has never made it to the big screen, right? Like Tom Holland, MCU Spider-Man. He has never ran into her, and for good reason. He would not stand a chance, this little snowflake. And outside of her more recent appearances in games like Marvel Snap, Contest of Champions, and of course, Spider-Man for the PlayStation, she's kind of low-key. But she's a badass. Let's get you up to speed. She was born Sylvia Sablanova. She hails from Simcaria, a small fictional country in Europe, to a loving mother and father. Now, her father, Ernest, what a name, was an absolute iconic Nazi hunter, right? Think Indiana Jones, but less treasure and more justice, right? He was a legend within Europe. And little Silver grew up wanting to follow in his footsteps, but tragic backstory alert, her mom was killed in front of her when Silver was just a kid, and the shock of this experience turned Sable's hair white and compelled her to take on a cold and distant persona. Tragic backstory, check. Vows of vengeance, check. And saw one of her parents die, check. Now, when it comes to her powers and her ability, all you need to know is Silver Sable doesn't have any. She has nothing special in the terms of superhuman abilities, but she's an elite hand-to-hand combatant and is an expert in martial arts, marksmanship, swordsmanship, and strategy. And don't let the whole no powers thing fool you. Her physical prowess, her agility, and overall leadership is legit. Now, she often wears Kevlar-lined suits and wields weapons like throwing daggers, tasers, guns like snipers, and katanas. And additionally, she also has access to advanced technology from Silver Sable International, including stealth tech and a jetpack. Now, after her mother's passing, she trained with her father, and Silver took over his organization, the Wild Pack. And this isn't your friendly neighborhood group of mercenaries. They hunt down war criminals, terrorists, and anyone with a price on their head. And they do it for a hefty fee. Which, hey, I don't blame her, right? Like saving the world, saving people's lives, why not make it a business? Smart. Now, in addition to leading the Wild Pack, she also runs Silver Sable International, a mercenary company that's a big deal in Simcaria. In fact, her operations basically kept her country's economy afloat. Now, a lot of the operation was from Simcaria's embassy in New York, and the Wild Pack has recruited members from a wide range of experienced fighters and known characters, including the reformed Spider-Man villain, Sandman. Now, let's go ahead and fast forward to the part that you guys have probably been waiting for. What's going on with Spider-Man? How did they meet? And overall, what's their history? Now, their first meeting is pure comic book gold as Silver's on the hunt for a jewel thief called the Black Fox, and surprise, surprise, Spider-Man shows up, and he tries to help, and naturally, sort of makes a mess of everything. This was one of those classics, I'm a hero, you're a hero, but I don't trust you situations, but Spidey, being Spidey, manages to impress her by the end of the day. Now, not long after that, you knew their paths would cross again, and Sable was hired to capture the Jack-o'-lantern, and through their team-up, Spider and Sable fend off some of the sinister syndicate after eventually being saved by Sandman, which then kicked off the long-lasting partnership between Sandman and Sable. And honestly, guys, Silver Sable has quite the resume on her team-ups, right? She's been with the infamous Captain America, obviously Spider-Man, Black Widow. She's been with Misty Knight, Domino, Valentina, the Paladin, just to name a few. Now, you would think that Spider-Man's quips would drive someone like Silver nuts, but they've got a weird chemistry. Like Sable briefly being married to Spider-Man's foe, the Foreigner, which didn't last too long because, surprise, marrying an assassin, red flag. She's also formed a team of Peter Parker's enemies, the Outlaws, which had a small, brief stint, and she's even gotten to the point of kissing him after Spidey saved the day. Yep. Sorry, MJ. Now, one of Silver's biggest, most iconic moments was during the Ends of the Earth storyline when Dr. Octopus, of course, decides he wants to, destroy the world. Silver Sable and Spidey teamed up yet again along with Black Widow to stop Doc Ock, but in a heart-wrenching twist, Silver Sable sacrifices herself for, so we thought, when the iconic villain Rhino pins her down in an underwater base that's rapidly flooding. She eventually orders Spider-Man to leave her behind, and it looks like she's gone for good. However, in good old comic book fashion, with the help of the Foreigner and utilizing the stealth features of her suit, she evaded detection and escaped the base as it exploded, but took some nasty injuries with her. In short, the TLDR here is she faked her death, she came back stronger, and get this, she used a robotic avatar to secretly take down her enemies. Now, there's some mini stories here on some missions that she partakes in, but after eventually recovering from those injuries, she puts an end to the robotic avatar. Now, her story concludes around this time with Dr. Doom, who came to believe that Symkaria was behind an attack that briefly put a puppet ruler on Latveria's throne, but Doom retook control of Latveria and conquered Sable's homeland with bloody efficiency. And after saving her father from Doom's conquest, Sable separated from the foreigner again, taking the fortune he borrowed from her while she was unwell. She now stands proudly as the leader of the new Wild Pack and Sable International. So, what's Silver Sable's legacy? She's proof that you don't need superpowers to be a superhero. Armed with only her wits, combat skills, and Kevlar, she faced down supervillains, saved her country, and kept Spider-Man on his toes. With her recent return, she's now facing off against new threats and even having a brief romantic affair with Nightcrawler. In the end, Silver Sable's story is all about resilience, loyalty, and if you're new to Silver Sable, I highly recommend diving into her comics that I'll go ahead and put in the description down below, and trust me, you won't regret it. So there you guys go. There's the origin, the history of Silver Sable, or at least for the most part, and you guys can help me out massively. It's just one click for you. If you enjoy the content, to subscribe as we build up this new channel and community, and drop down in the comments below the next character you want me to cover here on the channel. Hopefully you guys have a good one, have a great one, and until the next one, good vibes out there.